Hi, and welcome to another at-home lesson from Grace in Motion. If this is your first time here, then I encourage you to take a few minutes to go to our website, gimsimple.net, check out some of our resources and introductory materials there. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So we are continuing our series on the Gospel of John. This one's going to be a little bit different. It's taking just a few verses of Scripture this time, and we're going to do a comparative study to a couple of other Gospels that share a similar story. This one is called To Get Out of the Boat or Not. That is the question. To get out of the boat or not, that is the question. And it really plays more on the version of the story that we see in the other Gospels as well. John 6 has a short, brief recording of what's going on here. So it's actually only verses 16 through 21. So if you have a Bible or an app or Bible Gateway, something like that, so that you can look at John 6, verses 16 through 21. I'm also going to have it on the screen here in just a second. And as we look at that, and again, we're going to do something a little bit different than usual. So we're going to read the New International Version, the NIV, right now. When evening came, his disciples went down to the lake, where they got into a boat and set off across the lake for Capernaum. By now it was dark, and Jesus had not yet joined them. A strong wind was blowing, and the waters grew rough. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, so rowing 3 or 4 miles, think about that. We just picture people just sitting casually, comfortably on a boat. Anyway, when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus approaching the boat, walking on the water. Unusual. And they were frightened. But he said to them, "It is I, don't be afraid." Then they were willing to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat reached the shore where they were heading. Now, if you're familiar with the story at all, you know that in the other Gospels, there's a twist on this where Peter actually gets out of the boat. And so that's what you're going to spend some time looking at, is this account versus those other accounts as well. So what do you notice and wonder here? That's our typical response to Scripture, is go through the noticings and wonderings. So discuss and reflect on that as you read this passage, but also as you compare it to Matthew 14 and Mark 6. So go find the account of Jesus walking on the water in Matthew 14 and Mark 6. They're going to be a little bit longer accounts and have some other details in there. How are the versions similar and how are they different? And talk through some of those comparisons and contrasts that you find as you do this as a group or reflecting on your own. So go ahead and pause the video and take time to do that. So now, after you've spent some time reflecting on the different accounts that are here about this story, discuss or reflect on what you think the point is. What's the main takeaway? What's the objective of why this is even included in the Bible at all? In other words, what lesson are we supposed to learn from it? Or were the first century or early listeners or later readers supposed to learn from it? And then finally, one last discussion, and this is kind of almost more for fun than anything else in a way, although it does matter. Reflect on your own or discuss with your group. Do you believe this is an actual historical event, that someone literally walked on water? Or do you believe it's a figurative lesson? It's a myth to tell a story. And then does it matter? Does it matter how you perceive it, how you take it, when you're trying to figure out what the takeaway is for you, what the lesson learned is, and how you're going to apply that from this story? So that's the discussion point there for you all to have some fun with and talk about. Pause the video and do that now. All right, so that brings us to the end. Not a lot of doctrinal teaching here. Hopefully you spent quite a bit of time looking at the different accounts in the Gospels of this and had some rich discussion. And as always, there should be something, an opportunity for you to thank someone or bless someone by sharing what they did and how you appreciated how they impacted you during this time that you had together. And of course, We want you to act with grace and simplify faith. Have a wonderful day.